Jungkook entered the house and saw Wine resting in the living room while his maid was reading a book for her. He looked at her and adored her for a while, when all his day-long tensions and tiredness were taken away as he looked at her. He sat beside the maid and took the book from her hand, gesturing her to stay quiet. She quietly went away, handing him the book, and he started reading it. He thought she will definitely notice his voice when she kept reading, but she didn't change her expressions. When he was done reading, he asked her, "You didn't notice my voice? I'm home already. But you..." Wine started laughing when she held his hand while saying, "I knew when you entered and how you both quietly wanted to surprise me. I'm blind, but I know when you're around me. I can feel you." He came to her in amusement and hugged her from behind when he said, "I didn't know you could just feel me. It must be a hassle not being able to walk and see." She smiled, not in despair, but it was filled with love. She held his arm, which was hugging her, and said to him, "Not at all. Nothing is a hassle when I'll have you." He hugged her tightly, and sitting on his knees, he rested his head on her shoulder. He felt all the warmth and love which he never felt before from anyone else but Wine, his beloved wife. He said, "I'm grateful to have you. I would have still be suffering in this sick world if you didn't come in my life." Wine, do you think it was easy for me to live? I'm happy just because of you. I won't let go of you forever. To not cry in this lovely situation and make her worry, he decided to light up the environment for her. He whispered in her ear, "I have a surprise for you." Wine, really? What is it? Let's go to the room to find out, he said and picked her up in his arms to take her to their room, which was upstairs, while he ordered his maid to come behind them with the gift. Maid put it on the bed and left. Jungkook also gently put Wine on the bed when he held her hand to make it run across the gift. She asked while touching it, "What is this?" Jungkook, "Guess yourself." "Books?" she asked with amusement and screamed in happiness when she ran her hand to count them. They were about 35 to 40. Jungkook, "So that you don't get bored at home all by yourself. But don't get dwelled in them too much that you forget me." Wine, "There are so many, God. I love these so much." Jungkook, "Are you even listening to me? The paper quality is so good. Wow, this smell," she said, sniffing the papers. Jungkook whined and said in a low tone, looking at her, "Why am I being my own enemy?" She was smiling while he adored her from his place. He was peacefully looking at her that he heard a gunshot from the living room. Wine was frightened after hearing this, when Jungkook was confused as to how this could happen in his own house. He hugged Wine in an instant to calm her down and said to her, "It's all right. I'm here with you. I'll come back in a minute." He was about to go, but she suddenly held the end of his sleeve. "Come back fast, please." Jungkook, "Why are you getting scared? You're my wife. Don't worry," he said and gave her a kiss on the forehead to go downstairs. He took his gun from the drawer and pointing it ahead of him, he goes outside the room. after locking it from inside. He reaches downstairs only to see all his guards lying dead on the ground, while one man sitting on the couch with his legs crossed, enjoying his time. Jungkook calmed down a little when he rested his hand, which was pointing the gun ahead. What? It's just you? Did you decide to die or what? The man there laughed when he said to Jungkook, "Why should I? It's gonna be you who will die." Jungkook nodded, having enough of him, when he pointed his gun at him while saying, "You're not worth my time. Just die." The man laughed while getting up from the couch and looked at Jungkook when he said, "What do you think is happening to your wife right now?" Jungkook squinted his eyes, but he suddenly heard a scream from his room. His eyes widened, and he quickly ran towards the room. To his amusement, the door was locked. He shot the door lock for it to open, only to see that the window of the room was open, and Vine was nowhere to be seen. He ran towards the window and saw a black white car going away. He read the car plate immediately. He ran to his car and ordered his men on call to trace his car, but he was only hit with disappointment as they were using an abandoned car. He contacted his hacker immediately to get the location of the car. Once he got it, he crossed all the speed limits to get there. It didn't matter to him whether someone gets crushed by the car or have a giant accident on the road. His mind and heart could only think about wine. How amusing it is that someone they know becomes their strength and weakness at the same time. He reached in the abandoned building when he filled his gun with bullets and put it in his waist belt. He saw the same car with the same number plate ahead of him, so he was sure to get inside the building. He moves inside only to see the pitch black darkness surrounded in all the four corners. He took out his phone to turn on the flashlight, but as he was doing that, someone pointed the gun at his head from behind. He raised his hands, trying not to resist at all, so he thought that this person might take him to where Vine is. Suddenly the light switched on, and he saw Vine a bit far from him, with a certain man pointing his gun at Vine. He heard the door from behind to close up. "Clovis, there is no way out for you now. Your death is destined by my own hands." Jungkook felt a bit relief in his heart when he saw Vine's face not being ruined at all. Then he looked at Clovis and scoffed. "You did a favor to me by closing the door, as it's you who is trapped here, not me." "Clovis, you dare to say this when your girl is in my hands." Jungkook scoffed again and said, "And you dare to make eye contact with me when you have my girl." Both looked at each other with rage racing in their veins. Then Jungkook looked at Vine and hoped that his plan should work. He inhaled deeply and smiled, and when he said in a loud voice, "Use orange plant right now." At an instant, Vine understood, and at the same time, both of them snatched the guns that were pointed at them, and Vine immediately threw her gun towards Jungkook, which he caught in an instant, pointing it at Clovis after beating the man behind him. Vine couldn't look at the gun, but it was right on her forehead, so she could feel its touch. That's how she threw it towards Jungkook, because she always knows where he is. She always can feel his presence. After shooting Clovis in an instant, he ran to Vine and hugged her as tightly as he could. Jungkook, are you okay? Let me see, where are you hurt? You must be really scared. I'm sorry I was late. He hugged her again, thinking she must be really scared, all alone. But she said to him, why are you getting scared? You are my wife. Jungkook looked at Vine in amusement, for she said, this is what you said, right? How could I be scared then? Your words and your existence is enough to make me cope with any fear. I wasn't scared at all because I believed in you, Vine said while patting his hair with her gentle hands. Jungkook almost had tears in his eyes. You did so well, and especially our training wasn't all in vain. I told you, didn't I? Vine, yes, you did. I'm glad that you taught me some self defense tricks and that you believed in me when you told me to use that plan. Because you and I both know that orange means it means nothing, just to confuse others. Jungkook said, for she laughed on him. Vine laughed. Only you can come with such silly ideas. He was glad to see her smiling and laughing, even after this. He actually realized today that he is her strength. His heart felt proud, and he hugged her. Thank you. I love you so much. Love you too, forever, she said to him, hugging him back. He picked her up in his arms to take her home and continue where they left off, knowing in their hearts that the other person will never betray, never run away.